Hey everybody, welcome to Tim's Tech Corner. I'm your host Tim, and today we're sitting here on G4G. Now if you happen to notice the badge on the channel, it always says G4G, TTC. Tim's Tech Corner, it's been a while since I've done an episode. However, I had a very serious issue recently that I decided I'm going to go ahead and put out a video describing my experience and let you guys know the fix for this, because it actually stopped me from producing a video on the G4G side of the channel. So, if you happen to be a fan of my channel, you may know that the last video that I did, which was the Iron Maiden Legacy the Beast video, was the last video, rest in peace, but it's not actually rest in peace, it's now my secondary computer, from my computer called the Beast. The Beast was the primary computer of mine for some time now, and I think it was throughout all of Marvel Avengers Alliance. It may have even started as Windows 7 and eventually went up to Windows 10. And it's been my primary computer for many years. It is an AMD Socket 2 motherboard in there. It originally had about 12 gigs of RAM, recently updated it to 16 and some faster RAM. The primary drive has been updated along the way to an SSD, and the data drive went from a 1 terabyte drive to a 2 terabyte drive, and that was my gaming drive. This year's tax refund, I said, alright, I'm going for the gusto. I'm getting a new build. I can't upgrade this anymore because I'm very limited by the socket on the motherboard. There's only so much I can do. I mean, I've been keeping the video card up to date, but I knew I was hamstrung by the chip. And when I went to install Rage 2, and it wouldn't launch, and Bethesda's support copped out and said, well, your chip doesn't meet the minimum requirements, and I showed them that my AMD was comparable to their minimum of an Intel, the guy pointed out that he was actually pretty smart. He said that, yeah, your chip is comparable because you actually have video on that chip which bumps it up, but its processing power is weaker than our lowest Intel. You're screwed. We can't support you. So I went, alright, that is the nail in the coffin. This machine has got to go. So I just recently got a new build that I basically set up on PC Part Picker and kind of picked my way through on eBay to save some money, and that was my tax refund this year. So I'm looking at a rose wheel case that is supposed to have the blue LED fans on that. It's got the fans, working on the LED portion of that, but it has a Z390 gaming motherboard on there, which was not the original one, but when I took it in, when I had all the pieces and I took it to Intrex for the build, because I was just being extra careful on this one, they're like, hey, you're going to thermal throttle on this motherboard a little bit. Let's get you some water cooling, because I had a Hypermaster 212, and which is one of those big ones. It's like this big with the fins on it, and it's got the fan. And they're like, yeah, you're this chip, because it's an i9-9900K, you're going to put out a lot of heat. You want to water cool this. So I now have a Cooler Master kit in there with the 2 LED fans. The RAM was supposed to be RGB, but it was a line of Corsair that wasn't. That was a misrepresentation by an eBay seller. I actually have a case open. So I put everything together with the help of Intrex, and then the GTX 2070's in there, got the drivers, got the experience, and the experience was working at one point. It was giving me some shit early on, but then I got it working, and I even had it up during a World of Warcraft raid, took a picture with the filter, a watercolor filter for fun, and then when I went to do my video, it crapped out. And what it craps out with is what you see, what we're talking about today, the error code 0X0003. And what it is that you go down and you attempt to launch the Geforce experience, and it hangs, and you don't see it, you don't see it, you don't see it. And I'm telling you, it's like 2 or 3 minutes later, pops up with the black screen, nothing is here, and it just has that error, and it says, I shit myself, you should probably restart the computer. Now, the restarts, of course, do nothing. And as you can see here, like, I spent a lot of time looking at this. So I worked on it that night that I wanted to record the video for about 2 hours, got to bed late because of it, and then worked on it the next day while I was at work because I TeamViewer into my home computer from work. And I must have rebooted this thing about 8 or 12 different ways as I was trying different fixes. I want to point out the one to you guys that works for about 80-85% of the people, and then show you what I had to do to get mine fixed, and that might be what fixes the other 10 or 15 or 20% of the people who are like, it didn't work for me, the main fix. So, the main fix I happen to find on the Geforce forums, but this one is parroted pretty much all over the web. The fix for it is to go into your services, and we need to modify a service slightly. So you can get here by either right-clicking on My Computer and then Manage if you haven't on your desktop. By the way, this is a Windows 10 issue, and for most people it's likely a Windows 10 build 1909 issue, and that'll come into play later. So you can either right-click and pick Manage, or you can tap Start and start typing in Services, or you can do Windows key and R and type in Services over there. However you do it, get over to Computer Management here. When you've got it up, click on anything high up in the list and hit the N key on your keyboard, and you will jump down to the Nvidia services. Now, part of the time that I've seen this fix represented on the web, they mention a fifth service here called Nvidia Geforce Experience. That is not true. You will not find a Geforce Experience service. You will find it in Task Manager in this section if you actually have it up, or you are attempting to launch it. If you're attempting to launch it and it's broken and it's going to do its shit itself thing, you will see it here in the processes, but it doesn't have a service. So that's key. If you see somebody telling you to fix the service, ignore it. It doesn't exist in modern Nvidia architecture. Maybe it did in the past, but it doesn't anymore. So what you need to do is find this one called the Nvidia Telemetry container. And you should be auto-hiding. There you go. So what you need to do is double click on it or right click on it and pick Properties. The big thing for the main fix, this is what gets most people, is you go to the Logon tab, and it will eventually be down. You'll notice that when you first bring it up, it's down here. It says this account, it might say network service, and it has this password and confirm password over here. This is where the problem is for most people. You switch it to local system account, and then you put the check for, yeah, I want you to interact with the desktop. When you click OK, it's like your changes aren't going to go effect unless you restart it. Now, you can restart the computer at this point, but it actually means to restart the service. I would not just simply do a restart, by the way. Sometimes restarts are super quick, and I don't always trust the speed of them. Right-click on it, tell it to stop. Once it stops, count out about 5 or 10 seconds. Right-click on it again, pick Start, and then that will have restarted the telemetry container. Do that for display and local system. Now, network service probably is not running at the time you come into this, but it'll say it's manual. You can leave it alone, but you want to restart display and local system. The first two, do the same thing. Right-click, pick Stop. Wait about 5 seconds. Right-click, pick Start. One of these takes longer to restart or stop than the others. Don't panic. It'll, like, telemetry is like 1, 2, 3, and it's done. And then the other one is probably about 3 seconds too. The other one may take like 10 or 15. That's okay. Just let it go. Of course, if you restart the computer, all of that is invisible to you. That is the fix that fixes most of the people, because then the Geforce Experience runs. We don't know what it is about use the local system account that's doing this, but um, that was the big fix. And that one was the one that is mentioned here by ProGamer about 6 months ago. And you'll see here within Windows, go to the run command, type services, blah, blah, blah. If this doesn't help, contact support. He is basically saying, look, I just got off of support with chat. I'm going to do you guys the favor, and I'm going to put it out here so that you don't need to get support on the line. This is what they had me do. Now, you'll see that the responses still get varied at this point. A lot of people quote them. A lot of people say thank you, everything like that. But then there's a lot of people who say it still isn't working, or the telemetry file is corrupted or unreadable. This is one that I don't think I've ever seen somebody come back to and say that they fixed the corruption in telemetry. This guy says, I had that too, but nobody really ever says that. Nobody helps that guy out, unfortunately. Some people said they started with error code 001, or it's actually 3 zeros, I believe. 0001 1000. Sorry, going into Family Guy there for a minute, the Helen Keller thing. And then 0003. That's where most of this happens. Now, unfortunately for me, when I started my big fix run, that wasn't working for me. I couldn't get back to it running, and I had run it in the RAID. Like, I still didn't know what I did to get it fixed, but it went and shit itself again. And that, unfortunately, wasn't working. So one of the things that people began to mention is turn off things like your antivirus and your firewall. Even maybe BitLocker if your installation drive is BitLocker. Suspend BitLocker or turn it off. Turn off Windows Defender. Zone Alarm was mentioned. Avast was mentioned in here. That I only had Windows Defender. That didn't work for me. Turn Windows Defender off. I turned the firewall off for public and private networks, which is mentioned here. That didn't work either. Another thing that is mentioned is to run the installer as an admin, and how you could do that is by right-clicking on it and picking Run as Administrator. Even if your account on your box is an administrator, there is still something a little bit different when you do this. Some people said, oh, the Uac Virtualization was an issue, and how you look at that is you go to Details, and you'll notice the Uac Virtualization is disabled for a bunch of these, and some say not allowed. Well, if you see the Nvidia Geforce over here, one guy said he fixed it by right-clicking and picking Uac Virtualization, which turned it on, and then it worked for him. Again, didn't work for me. Another thing that was mentioned was to do a super clean uninstall. And now you can accomplish that by a couple of different ways. At my job, through my own volition and finding it, this is not like my job's preference, this is mine. I love bulk crap uninstaller. I think this is the best thing on the planet. I think everybody needs to go out and get this guy beer or Starbucks or something. But I used BCU to wipe out the GFE and reboot, try it again. That didn't work. One of the other fixes is to uninstall the drivers and the GFE, try to run them as administrator after reboot. That didn't work. Another fix is to run something like bulk crap uninstaller, or the one mentioned in this thread, which is IOBit. I don't trust IOBit as much as I trust BCU. IOBit like had some ads and everything, but anyway, I ran IOBit because it was mentioned in here, and again, same thing, doing super clean uninstalls, reinstalling it, didn't work. Now, there is a Asian guy in here who mentions the deleting a particular cache file. So for that one, he mentioned going into program data, going into Nvidia Corporation, and this one, this GFNPC downloader folder. Wipe that out when you're doing the uninstall and try that. That didn't work either. A lot of people have made mention of this one particular site within Nvidia that, and it's this one, it's this download drivers. You have the ability to pick a package over here that not only comes with the driver, but it actually comes with the GFE. And that's what you do if you do the full uninstall, where you wipe out the GFE, you wipe out the drivers. That didn't work for me. Another person said, hey, I think what's happening is that, you know, when I wipe everything out and I boot up, Microsoft is like, oh, hey, I know what that is. That's an Nvidia card. And it throws a Microsoft driver up against your card. It's that Microsoft driver that prevents the Nvidia driver from working correctly. That didn't work for me either. I got it to the point where it's back to the Microsoft driver, and you can tell that by going to your device manager, which, if you have it, it's Windows and pause break at the same time. Not everybody has pause break on their keyboards anymore. And you go here, and if you go to driver, if it says Microsoft over here, that's Microsoft's driver for it, and you'll see rollback is enabled. Now, I saw that the Microsoft driver was there, but I didn't do the rollback. It still didn't work. This guy, this Asian person, mentions the Netshell Winsock reset, which is you go to start and you start typing in the word command, go to run as an administrator, or if you do Windows and X at the same time, do Windows PowerShell, and then paste in this command over here and then reboot. This, and we're going to come back to this, is what I was doing for a Chrome issue, but it didn't work. I had a moment where I was like, ooh, I was doing that for a Chrome issue, maybe that'll fix my Geforce. Nope, that didn't work either. But for a moment, I had a thing. This post here by Splingum from about 2 months ago, this is the direct link to one of those ones where you can get the full package. However, don't just hit download on what this guy linked, and there is a reason why. The type of card here is a Titan, and it's immediately going to get you the Titan drivers. Now, maybe not everybody has a Titan. If you back it up one, you'll be over here, and then you can pick your setup. Some people have standard drivers that they need. Some people need to do the DCH. Mine technically was a GCH, and I thought maybe I would have to go to the standard. So here is the cache folder that the one guy was talking about. Local data, Nvidia Corporation, Geforce Experience, and then deleting the Ceph cache that's in there. So if you right click, you go to copy, hit Windows and E at the same time, paste it. He was saying get rid of this whole folder right here, then blow away your full your Geforce. He said it is Geforce only, and then clicking this link and just getting the, again, fix your Titan to something, whatever's correct for you, and download the Geforce Experience End driver, put a check for clean install. I got around to doing that at one point where I did the clean install, got rid of the Ceph cache. Nope, didn't work. So now I gotta scroll and find you what actually worked for me. And I'll know it when I see it because it's a fairly quick, small post with a link and then like one sentence after that. And then I'll show you what happened for me. Here it is, Chameleon. This is the fix that did it for me. So for me, this is 5 days ago. Whenever you watch this video, it might be later than that. But this one by Chameleon is what did it for me. And said it took him about a year, and he links to this thing about Google Chrome. So I clicked on it, and I'm like, that's a little odd. It's talking about Chrome. What does this have to do with anything? But then I remembered, here's what was going on with my build. When I started this build, I was not bringing over anything from the old computer except for copying over my data drive to this data drive. But I wasn't bringing anything over from the primary or any parts of the Windows install or the program install. So, the SSD is in there. I boot up from an old Microsoft Windows 10 DVD that I had. I put in a key, and my build is ancient. My build number is like 5 digits or 6 digits, and the current builds are 4. 1803, 1809, 1909, etc. So it was really very, very old. And then I got it online. I got the Windows Upgrade Assistant, and I built it right up to 1909 before anything really got installed. My Chrome was a massive shit pit at the time. Chrome kept getting error timeout. Most times, like 65% of the websites wouldn't work. Some would. Even Google's own products weren't always working. It was very hit or miss, which is why you see everything is here in Firefox. Because I was doing all of this via Firefox because my Chrome wasn't working. I tried that NetSH Winsock reset because both my girlfriend and I were techs. She spent some time working at Geek Squad, and I've also made a living doing this. So she's like, do a Winsock reset. I'm like, yeah. That didn't wind up working. It like when it first boots up, Chrome works for a little while, and then it shits itself. So I'm like, wait a minute. This is really interesting because I had a Chrome problem too. I bet this is going to be the fix because they're linking a Chrome fix in the GFE thread. I had problems with both. I bet you this is going to be the tie that binds. Now it says there's this fix wizard. I don't trust links like that, so I did it manually. I did this profile thing, but it's this thing right here, solution 2, the crypt service bug. This is what fixed it for me. So, what he's saying is go into the task manager. And you can end it from there, or you could go to services. And you end the cryptographic service. So what you do is you go to the C's, and you need to stop this service right here, cryptographic services. The signature of Windows files and protected root and trusted root. Stop it. It should let you stop it, especially if you're an admin on the box. Then go to regedit and search for a particular key. So this key is buried under H key current user, and then software Microsoft system certificates. You can see the path is up there. Now I'm used to going into the registry as far as Microsoft and then going over to a key called Windows local, and I go here all the time to make sure certain things are in startup or not in startup, especially viruses and everything. Well, branch off and go to system certificate, go to root, and then protected root. So you expand the root, and then you go to protected roots. Now, the moment I clicked on it, now my old box, everything was fine. The GFE was working the whole way through. They're both 1909, except my old box has been upgraded slowly over time. This one went right to 1909. And everything worked fine on the box. So this key was fine. The moment I clicked on this key here, it said the key is incorrectly ordered. Do you want to reorder it or cancel? Say yes to that. And then what you need to do is follow the rest of the instructions over here, which is to right click on it, go to permissions. This is when the error popped up about the order, and you want to go ahead and make sure that you give yourself full control. And he outlines that over here. Then eventually he wants you to delete the root key, which is that. You right click on it, tell it delete, and it will rebuild itself. He then says restart the crypt service. Now, what I didn't do the first time, and I didn't think this was the fix, even though I thought it really might, is I didn't restart. Well, I actually restarted, but then when I came back, I realized for some reason some of the changes didn't take place. So I started going through them again. And the moment I ended the crypt service, I didn't realize that I knew I had tried to launch my GFE, and I knew it was going to hang. It was going to fail because it was taking too long. Well, while it was trying to do that in the background, the moment I ended the crypt service, the GFE came up. There was the login. Everything was there. And I'm like, it's been this the whole fucking time. This one little random post, because I kept going fixes, reboot, trying to find my place where I left off in the thread. And because you always start back at the top when you come back. This guy, Chameleon 90 over here, this was the fix for me. So that's what I wanted to highlight to you guys, is if you're having the GFE error and you're constantly getting 0X0003, this is what did it for me. If you are watching this video to get help, you may want to try this one first before all the others. We're not really sure exactly what's happened here, but we think it has something to do with the cryptographic services of 1909. Sadly, I don't think anybody has replied to this. I could try and join the forums. I think I may even have an account from way back when. And tell this guy this is what did it. Now, some of you other guys may be able to bow out on an earlier fix I mentioned. You know, maybe the net exit, like the Winsock reset, maybe an IP config release, flush DNS, and a reboot. It's probably not going to do it, but it's very interesting to me that this Chrome fix, when I had an issue with Chrome, also fixed my GFE. So something is wrong with the cryptographic services. The thought that Microsoft ships out a Windows build that you go into a key and it tells you the key is out of order, like, that's so bad on Microsoft's part. That's literally like getting the keys to a Corvette and you open the driver's door and the engine is sitting on the passenger side, and you look at the dealer, you're like, what the fuck is this? And the guy says, yeah, the engine's out of order. Go ahead and put the engine back where it's supposed to, and then the car's all yours. Like, why are you selling me a fucking Corvette with a goddamn engine in the passenger seat? Can I get a working Corvette that I paid $38,000 for? It's the same thing with this build. Like, how did they mess this up? And I don't think people are really going to get it if they've upgraded slowly to 1909. I think it's people who more or less take a huge jump. Maybe from the 17 builds, like 1709 to 1909, or from just a flat Windows 10 install. I don't know if it's maybe a Pro versus Home versus Enterprise issue. But the fact that a key in the registry tells you the first time you click on it, hey dude, I'm screwed up, can you fix me? I think that's disgusting. I'm like, Microsoft, what the fuck are you doing? And the last thing I want people to do is have to deal with Nvidia support, because I dealt with them many years ago about the GFE, and let's just say it was less than English as a primary language. And that sometimes can make for some rough support. Granted, this was all email, but Friends of Foamy, the technology episodes, that's especially, I think it's what, episode 23? That's all I gotta say about that. That's all I gotta say about that. So, there you go, guys. There's my Tim's Tech Corner video for the day. The video that I wanted to do was the Fantastic Four stuff and Marvel Strike Force. Now I'm backlogged with doing this video, and I have to do an MSF video and an MFF video. Probably do them later tonight after the raid and everything. But yeah, I hope this fixed your GFE issues. I hope something in this video gave you a fix. But again, like I said, to me, and I'll link this thread in the video description. I will link this thread in the video description. That is what worked for me. So if you'll excuse me, I'm now going to enjoy 100 more frames than I did previously in my World of Warcraft raids. I'm going to stare at my RGB water cooler and my RGB badges and a few other things on the motherboard, but one of the RGB areas on the motherboard is a fin with an RGB section to it that is unfortunately covered up by a huge rear case fan that does not light up, and I have a ticket with Rosewill about that. So I have a switch on my case that is low, stop, and high for my case fans. Low works and the fans spin, but you don't get LEDs on low. Stop works, but then when I put it on high, they don't spin at high speeds. They don't spin at all, and I get no LEDs. So yeah, wish me luck on that one. Take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video and that it helped out.